Good morning and welcome to the Water Cooler Live. I am Michael Spiegel. I am the chapter chair of the Savannah chapter of SCORE. And we're your hosts today. We have a wonderful program that I know you'll find fun, interesting, and exciting. For those of you that aren't very familiar with SCORE, we are actually a nonprofit organization. We have 245 chapters around the country, 10,000 volunteers. We're the largest provider of free business mentoring services in the United States. We also offer a tremendous curriculum of business education programs, workshops, blogs, etc. So at the end of the presentation, we'll have the information on how to get in touch with us, how to ask to meet with a mentor, and also we'll share with you some of the programs and workshops that are coming up in the next few weeks. So to start us off, I'd like to show you a very brief video about Savannah SCORE.
For over 50 years, SCORE has served as America's premier source of free business mentoring and education services. Locally, Savannah SCORE has helped hundreds of local clients establish and grow successful enterprises for free. Whether the challenge is getting better control of finances or growing market share, Savannah SCORE can help. We all need someone to inspire us to do better than we know. Don't put it off. Find your mentor today at savannah.score.org.
Great. Well, let's get started. We have just a great group of people with us today. The major topic today is how big initiatives are helping Savannah's economy as a whole and also all of our businesses throughout the community. So I'm very, very pleased to introduce our panelists today. First of all, we have Mr. Trip Tollison. Trip is president and CEO of the Savannah Economic Development Authority. Good morning, Trip.
Good morning, thank you.
Okay, second is Michael Owens. Michael is president and CEO of the Tourism Leadership Council for the city. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Michael.
And last but not least of the panelists is Mr. Derek Goldfarb. And Derek is the Director of Partnerships for the Savannah Civic Center and the New Arena Project. Derek, welcome. Oop, you are muted.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Derek. And I also want to introduce my illustrious colleague, Ms. Jess Belfry, who many of you already know. Jess is the Vice Chair of Savannah SCORE, and will be joining us this morning as well. Good morning, Jess.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay, so let's kick it off. Let's see. You know, everybody's been talking about the arena lately. Derek, why don't you start off and just tell us what's going on there, and then we'll move over to the other exciting areas as well.
Yes, it is an exciting time for everybody here in Savannah. The new arena is set to open in January, February of 22. The arena will hold 9,000 guests. There'll be 12 premium suites, a large club area, and it's going to pretty much change the way business is getting done in the community. Oakview Group is the facility manager, so we will do all the bookings for the arena along with our partner Live Nation, which is the largest developer and the largest concert promoter in the world. With everything coming back post-COVID, live concerts and entertainment are starting to happen all over the country. So bookings are starting to be released for major acts. And we anticipate getting acts that have traveled and will be traveling through the cities of Charlotte, Atlanta, Jacksonville, and Miami up the East Coast. So a very exciting time for everybody here in Savannah. It's going to be a regional opportunity. A lot of folks will be coming into town from those neighboring cities of Charleston, Jacksonville, Atlanta, visiting over the weekend, and hopefully when we have a concert and then we have a hockey team, an ECHL hockey team that will be starting in the fall of 22. So they play in the same division as the Charleston and Jacksonville team. So it's going to create a little bit of a rivalry between all of our neighboring cities, and it's really, really exciting stuff that's happening in early 22, which I think all of us on this phone and anybody out there is excited for live entertainment, which is going to be awesome. So yeah, they're very exciting times.
What's the name of the hockey team?
So the hockey team will announce their name of their team at the end of the summer. They've narrowed it down to one. I do not even know what it is. It's behind lock and key, and it's going to be something iconic to the city and something that everybody can rally around. And I hope to be on par with the Bananas, because they do a fantastic job of marketing and promotion. So that should all happen in a couple months, and then also. Concerts and shows are going to be announced in the next 30 to 60 days. I think a lot of things that needed to fall into place post COVID and with the other major arenas in the United States. So now that those arenas are starting to release their holds and their acts, that allows time for us to start doing ours.
Okay, great. So we can't squeeze some advance notice of who the acts will be?
No, I would like to keep my job.
It's just between us, Derek.
I would love to do that to make everyone smile, but unfortunately I've been silenced until that moment. But there is going to be things that are going to play here, and artists are going to play here that have never played the city, or it probably wouldn't have looked here in the past. I think the fact that there's a brand new arena, there's a major canal district development going on with the city. It's going to change the west side economics of everything in real estates and businesses. And this is the linchpin. This is the start of it all. I've been saying this for the 12 months that since I moved here. And it's really the reason why the Savannah is going to grow in the downtown community.
Very exciting. That whole thing with the west side of the city and expanding east, expanding west. It's really something. So that's a good segue to talk to Trip. So Trip, why don't you update us? First of all, there's some recent announcements that were just spectacular, but I'm sure there's some other things coming our way that are just as exciting. So why don't you bring us up to date?
Sure. Thank you for having me today. We've been quite busy. I think as we're climbing out of the pandemic, we're seeing just incredible activity. It's been wonderful to be a part of, with the recent Amazon announcement, the recent mega site purchase occurring over in Bryan County. The film industry's back with a vengeance. All 5 sectors of the economy are really doing well. It's extremely, it's just awesome to see the hospitality sector coming back. Every time you go downtown Savannah, there's just people everywhere. Hotels are full, especially with the leisure travel right now.
Say, to Trip, I'm sorry, can you tell folks what the 5 sectors are, please?
Sure. Hospitality, logistics, manufacturing, healthcare, and military.
Thank you.
And the other thing is, our job at the Savannah Economic Development Authority is to market and sell the Savannah region to the world, and we do that by obviously traveling a lot, and then inbound delegations or inbound company or prospect visits. We're definitely seeing a huge pickup in that, so that's wonderful to see as well. And we've already started traveling again. I was in Texas last week. There's a lot of activity going on, and then the international stuff heating up. So I don't know, it's great to see things getting back to normal.
Say, can you share with us? I know that there was some information, the number of jobs that are projected with the Amazon deal and with the Bryan County project.
So the Amazon project will start with 1,000 jobs. It's a massive facility. They're building, I think, 16 of these facilities throughout the country, and this is going to be one of the larger ones. And just the way we're going to master plan and develop the rest of the economic development site over there, we're putting in a brand new 4-lane road, all these things. It's going to, I think, all that property will be filled up quickly. And then as we go west towards Bryan County, the mega site announcement in partnership with Governor Kemp and his team at the State Economic Development Department is the largest economic development site in state history. And that's going to be held for what we call a Super Bowl type manufacturing project. And so what we've learned, what other states have been doing, is that other states have these mega sites that are ready, and for us to be very competitive, we have to step up the game, and that's what we're doing in Bryan County. And those type projects are thousands and thousands of jobs, and there's activity going on right now, so that's good.
So that's a great segue. It's a question I want to pose to all of you, and Michael, we'll talk to specifically about tourism very, very soon. But we all know that there is an incredible shortage of employees, right? We see the open for business, hiring now all over the city. People are bemoaning the fact that the demand is outstripping their ability to serve. So what is it you're seeing, A, that are some of the contributing factors to this difficulty, and B, what are we going to do? What can we do to kind of feed that pipeline so all these amazing things that are happening in the city are able to get qualified employees?
I think my personal opinion is you've got to get people back to work who aren't willing to get back to work. And there's a lot of conversation about that. It's some people talk about what's going on, some policies in Washington, and there's different reasons. But the people who are staying home that are not going back to work have got to get off the sofa and go back to work. Mm-hmm. Secondly, we're seeing that companies are going to have to be more competitive in their benefits and wage structures in order to keep their employees, which Savannah's done a pretty good job of doing. And the second or third thing is they're going to have to obviously pay a little bit more in order to keep people coming into the market. There's no question that right now we're seeing demand is a lot heavier than the supply, but it's a concern not just in Savannah, it's all over the country. And I just think that eventually it's just going to take a little time. I think that it'll be better. I think we'll be at a point where it won't be as drastic as it is right now, but I think it's just going to take some time.
Michael, what are you seeing from the standpoint of the Tourism Leadership Council?
Yeah, so Tripp summed it up beautifully. Is the demand is right now exceeding the available supply. I think there are a lot of folks who are choosing to not work right now, and I think there's a lot of different reasons for that. There's no one thing we could change that would be a panacea. There's still fear of COVID. That's still an absolute reality. There are still childcare issues, and a lot of those childcare issues stem from a real fear of COVID or a perceived fear of COVID. The additional unemployment benefits that were so necessary in the height of the pandemic are less necessary now, but as long as those continue, and they've ended in our state, because the governor believes, and I think he's right, that was a significant contributing factor for folks, as Tripp said, staying on the couch. I think that's true as well. And then I think just overall ignorance to the benefit of work is becoming more pervasive. We're seeing folks come back into the workforce now. It's a little bit of a trickle, but I'm also seeing more foreign labor come into the marketplace than I've ever seen before. And that's something that scares me. And it's not from a xenophobic outlook whatsoever, but if there's a continued proliferation of reliance on foreign workforce, that will create fewer opportunities for our local community to participate in. And a lot of those are entry-level positions that are necessary to exist in our community and within our market, a place where folks can start their career. We have plenty in our community, like many others, that they're not going to have the benefit of a 4-year degree or even a 2-year degree. Many will have GEDs or even not have GEDs, and we've got to have a place where those folks can enter into the workforce. And if those entry-level positions are taken by foreign labor, we're going to have a bigger mess on our hands as a community.
An associated thing before I ask Derek, what about the impact of when the kids get going back to school? Anybody?
I think it's, like Michael touched on it, childcare is definitely a huge issue right now. And as kids go back to school, I think that could be a parallel path for parents to go back to work for sure. And I think that's going to open up some things as well.
Okay. Derek, are you experiencing any issues with employment yet, or are you too soon in the process?
It's kind of too soon for the Savannah arena, but we have started opening up the current Civic Center. And I would say it's been somewhat challenging to get staff, security staff, concession staff, ticket takers, et cetera. So I think everyone is feeling it. I think we're not feeling it as much as other entities and businesses in the community, but because we just opened. But like I think what Tripp and Michael have said, that I think once things start opening up and people get a sense of comfort, especially with live events, I think that's been everybody's number one thing is public settings. I think once that starts to matriculate across other friends going and families going, and there's no cases and reports, I think things will return to normal.
I want to ask just one more thing on this, and then I want to move on. Tripp, you guys were doing what I remember to be a fairly successful campaign to actually pay people with certain high skill levels to move to Savannah. Is that program still in place? How is it done? What do you see for that?
Absolutely. In fact, I think today or tomorrow we're getting. So we're every month we're evaluating folks who have applied to receive the stipend to help pay for moving expenses. And I think I'll have a new batch of numbers tomorrow or Wednesday. But yeah, it's still out there. It's still popular. We're getting a lot of inquiries. I don't know offhand how many people have actually been paid to move to Savannah, or at least they've moved and got reimbursed for moving expenses. But I will tell you, the media attention and just the national exposure that Savannah's received because of this incentive has just been phenomenal. I mean, you name it, especially all the business publications from Forbes, Fortune, and New York Times has written about it twice. Fox News has reported on it. You name it, and it's been great. But I think to date we've had over 100 folks that have moved here or are in the process of moving that have taken advantage of the program. And we're going to continue to do it probably for the rest of the year, and then reevaluate and see if we want to continue doing it in 2022.
One exciting thing I want to interject here from the standpoint of entrepreneurism, we saw an explosion last year. Just with Savannah SCORE, we got the statistics not too long ago. We helped to start 239 new small businesses and helped establish over 1,000 new local jobs.
Right.
People are coming out of the woodwork. They are excited. They are energized. They are looking to start their own businesses. A lot of the challenges that came from the pandemic allowed people to sit back and say, well, now's the time. I lost my job or whatever. Now I'm going to go forward. So we're so pleased that at SCORE that so many people are coming to us for help. Are you folks seeing any of that in your world as well?
I mean, absolutely. I will tell you that from where we sit, there's two different factors, or at least two different groups of people that play a big role in company decisions to move to Savannah. One are the company executives, the CEOs, and the other would be the site consultants. And for the first time, when we do these evaluations every year, quality of life is in the top 3 or 4 reasons to relocate or to position a new investment in a community. And I've never seen that before. Quality of life was usually kind of like the added bonus towards the end of the process, but now it's becoming more and more important. And when you see what's going on in New England and California and places like that, more and more people are definitely interested in the South. And when they think about the South, they want to be in wonderful towns like Jacksonville, Savannah, Charleston. So we're seeing a huge influx of that kind of stuff.
And I'd like to just comment on that. I think with the arena coming to town, I think that's going to help everything. I think the fact that they have a really high impact, a brand new $165 million facility, I think that's going to help recruiting efforts. I also know that the hockey team is going to be bringing new people to town, bringing new visitors, people from other cities as well as want to live here and work for the hockey team. So I really think that this is just, again, something on top of everything that these guys are doing in the community. I just think this arena is going to put us on par with the other major cities in the South.
So when is the road company of Hamilton coming?
I don't know.
We demand answers. We demand answers.
I've never seen it, but I think maybe we can get Lin-Manuel to come and maybe play something here.
Here we go.
Entice him with a nice stay at the Marriott.
Right. So, Michael, let's go over to you and tell us I know there's good news with regard to tourism. Tell us what's going on.
So we're absolutely in the throes of recovery, the good, the bad, and the ugly that comes with that. Last April, downtown had an official occupancy of just at 6%. Typically, that would be a 99 with some other numbers behind a decimal there. So we're in the road to recovery. Anybody that's been downtown or Southside Cooler and certainly Tybee Island in the last several months have seen lots of folks on the street. So visitors are back. They've been back here for quite some time. We've enjoyed strong weekends, sellout weekends, really back since March. I'll be doing some interviews later this week about the 4th of July crowds and what we're going to expect. We're going to expect the same thing in 4th of July that we saw last weekend, the weekend before that, the weekend before that. We've seen weekday visitation improve. We're roughly around 70 to 80% on the weekdays, which is again below what we would have seen in pre-pandemic. But I will say that the demand is such that we're seeing rates higher than we've ever seen. We're definitely looking at a much more V-type recovery than U-type recovery. However, it is worth pointing out that really all of us feel that there's a little bit of a bubble that we're in right now. This volume of business we're seeing and the demand that's creating the rate structures that we're seeing right now. It's not the reality of the marketplace or even really our wider recovery efforts. There is an enormous amount of pent up demand that we're seeing exhausted in our market now and in our state. We were the first state to open for business again, so that really put a flag in the field for a lot of folks that said, hey, this is where we could go. Those water areas such as beaches and lakes and so on and so forth did better than those that were not. Of course, if you're in downtown Savannah, you're 15 minutes away from the beach. The Tybee Island has done well all the way through the pandemic. They really only lost about 5% of business in 2022 when our RevPAR in Savannah proper was close to a 50% reduction in 2022. So we're climbing out of that, but we also have fewer domestic trips are up because national and international trips are down. The cruise ships are not really fully in business yet. So those folks who would be taking an international flight, those who would be on a cruise are finding themselves closer to home and their more domestic trips are happening. So I think we're in a little bit of an artificial bubble right now, but we're taking what we can get. We're appreciative of any business that we can have, especially in comparison to last year. The challenges that are facing the industry as we recover, certainly labor is one of those. There's so much misunderstood in the labor market here locally, especially when it comes to our entry-level positions. But we're not just seeing a shortage in entry-level positions. We're seeing shortages across the spectrum of employment, across every pay structure, salary structure. There are just fewer people that are willing or able or wish to work right now. And that will create new innovation. Business is always going to move forward. We're going to move forward. And we're going to continue to find innovative ways to carry on the success that we've been striving for in recovery these last several months and into the months ahead as well.
I have another question for you, but before we do that, I want to encourage the folks that are watching or listening in. There's a comment box over on the side there. If you have questions for these great people, please put your questions in there, comments, whatever you'd like, and we will address them. So don't be shy. These guys are just amazing sources of information, very important information. So please do feel free to ask questions. So Michael, one of the things, how are things going in the residential sector? We have all of these high rises, condos, and also the hotels seem to be exploding too. What's happening in that sector?
Yeah, so development in hotels is still basically stalled, right? And you're going to see that stall until we see steel prices come back down, lumber prices come back down. Lumber prices are coming down. The projects that you're seeing working now, whether it's the business sector or the private residential sector, those were plans that were made before the impacts of COVID were felt. And in a lot of cases, they were materials were already purchased or under contract. But I think we're going to see some fluidity in that market right now. We are seeing a lot of properties, I won't say a lot, but we've seen several properties change hands and ownership. The institutional money that engages in that type of activity did very well in the pandemic, or at least did better than others in not losing their shirts during the pandemic. So institutional money is still at play and is still dealing in property transfers and so on and so forth. We continue to see a demand for residential growth. And I think that one of the concerns that we have as a community is especially growth in Savannah proper. We're not seeing at all levels, and we really need to balance that out. We really need more affordable housing options throughout. I think one of the reasons that Pooler is growing as a community is they have lots of entry-level new houses. I think a lot of young people that are first-time buyers, they want something new as opposed to something that was previously owned. Most of us on this call, probably our first home was, we were the third or fourth owner of those homes, but that's not what the market demands now. And we need to start seeing some new development in the entry level position, starter home sort of development in the market, or we're going to become awfully top heavy. We are top heavy downtown, which is not surprising. Downtown has always, well, not always, but is an attractive place to be, and location certainly drives pricing, but we need to continue that. We need balance in everything. We often talk about the balance between the interest of the business community and the residential community, but we really need to seek balance across all of our offerings, whether that's a business offering or it's also our housing stock option. So we need to have some focus there on the community to make sure we've got availability of good housing stock for anybody at almost any price point.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So, Derek, in your area, are you accepting employment applications at this point?
Yes, all applications for the current and new venue go through the Civic Center, the Savannah Civic Center. We will some of those folks, while they'll be city employees, can also work for the arena, because the arena will be Oakview Group employee run. So yes, anybody that's interested in working at the current or the future, please stop by the facility and fill out an application.
Yeah, you see the folks, you see the website there, www.savannahcivic.com. Please take a look at it, and you'll get some really cool images of what's happening with the arena. And this is a great time to explore that kind of an opportunity with Derek and his team.
Yeah, and additionally, I'm sure we'll host some job fairs. I think once we really get the building established and have a job fair on site, I fully anticipate us hosting job fairs as well.
Mm-hmm. Great. Michael or Tripp, are there other job fairs that you know about that are on the schedule?
Yes, as a matter of fact, the job fair that we're hosting is in every open business in Savannah. And the great thing is you can walk into any business and get a job right now, really, in every industry. It's a 7-day-a-week job fair that's constantly happening. Again, bring a resume or just yourself, walk into a business, walk out with a job. It's a miracle.
I'll tell you that Michael is exactly right. And if everybody across the board are looking for people that have the three common traits, good work ethic, willing to learn, and a good attitude or disposition. If you can do those three things, anybody's going to hire you right now on the spot.
All right, that's very, very encouraging.
By the way, and what a great time to come into the job market.
Mm-hmm.
The demand is so high. The pay rates are as high as we've ever seen them, and that's perfectly healthy. That's a market force that has created that high pay. Folks are looking more at benefit packages than they have ever done so, ever. I mean, the starting out rates, even in entry level positions across all of the industries, our pillars, as Tripp often calls them, are extraordinary, and they're much higher than anything we would have seen when we entered into the workplace. Now is the time to jump into this workforce and really get a better start than most other folks did when they came into the workforce.
A great message. Tripp, you were going to say something, I believe.
No, I was done. But I mean, Michael's exactly right.
Yeah.
So I don't say that often, but on this, Michael.
Nate
Jess, did you
from,
have something?
yeah, Nate from SBAC, he chimed in. He had a good chuckle. Michael's comment about everyone's hiring. But to kind of go on that point, this is a great opportunity to, even if you have to go in at an entry-level position, the opportunity to grow in the ranks is, a lot quicker right now. So even if you've got to start out lower than what you're usually at, go in there, shine, being an amazing employee, show up, do the extra things, and get promoted quicker.
It's interesting because it occurs to me there's two different things here. One is, as Michael mentioned, this is a great time for people that are just coming into the workforce, whether you've just completed your schooling, whether you've just relocated to the area recently. This is a great time. The other thing is, one of the most commonly heard words over the last 16 months has been pivot. So people who have been in one line of work, but have kind of thought about, I would really like to consider going into this other line of work. This is a great time, from what these gentlemen are sharing with us, to explore that. Go find, there's so many, high quality organizations here in town. Seek them out, go talk to them, bring that resume, dress nicely, and this is a great time to pivot and try to go down a path that you will find more satisfying and hopefully more financially positive for you and your families. So, all right, good. Do we? Let's see what else. Let's see what. Oh, let's talk about, if you guys could summarize just. I mean, we've been talking about a lot of good news stuff. Well, you know what? I do have one more question. I knew I had something. How are the things that are going on? We're coming out of the pandemic. We're seeing an easing of safety requirements. How are you folks seeing this affecting things? How far along are we toward, I don't know if the word normalcy is appropriate anymore, but what are you all seeing with these, the progress toward fully opening up?
It's a great question from Michael.
We're there. We've been there. I mean, the truth of it is we've been there longer than any mandate has said we are. The resiliency and the fluidity that exists in the private sector is always going to be ahead of the government, always. And it should. Government moves slower than the private sector, and it should. It has much more profound and lasting impacts than anything the private sector does. But let's be perfectly honest here. We've seen a return to normalcy, as you put it, Michael, for months and months, right? I think that when the CDC announced that masks were not an enormously important thing outside, the public had already made up their mind on that. They had already seen the evidence and the data on that. Government was last to say it. And again, I think that's perfect. That's perfectly typical. I also think that the duration of this pandemic, now, and we're still in one, now well over a year, that's going to allow people to adjust what they do and how they do it. For instance, my parents, before the vaccine was made available, were certainly far more cautious than I was or my family was. We took precautions, especially in the height of things. Nonetheless, I still got it and then vaccinated later. That's one of the things that I see missing in this conversation about who's vaccinated and who isn't. I got it as soon as I was available to take it, and so did my wife and every member of my family. But there are also those that have had COVID-19 within the last several months that also have a certain immunity, and those folks feel it's less necessary to take a vaccine right now because they believe, and there's plenty of science to back that up, that they've got antibodies for at least 6 months that help keep them safe. But the truth is the public moved beyond a freaked out stage that everybody was in for many, many months, and then started taking other precautions that fit their own particular circumstance. And for a lot of travelers and a lot of residents, COVID-19 doesn't offer a substantial public health risk to themselves, but does others. So as usual, people will find their way to continue to move forward. And they have, and they've done that for quite some time. And by the way, it's worked. It's worked. When we started welcoming people back in March, our numbers have continued to go down. We were constantly heard that almost everything that a move made to return to normalcy was something that would have blood on its hands later, and that's not what we saw. Period. That's not what we saw.
That's great. Any other comments about that from you, Trip, or you, Derek?
We've been, Michael's right, we've been back, normal is here, it's been here. The only thing that we're still trying to get back to normal mostly is the traveling side, especially international, which it's getting better and better every day. But that's really, in my opinion, the only thing that's kind of outstanding as far as getting back to normal path.
Okay, very good. So what question do you have for each other? I know a couple of you know each other extremely well, but let's see. Trip, what question do you have for Derek? Anything?
Well, we're in the process of trying to work something out with Derek and his staff on, some stuff for the arena, and I know Derek is working really hard to get some things done. I'll tell you, what Derek said earlier about the arena and it being a great tool in the kit as far as trying to attract business and entertaining customers and clients. That's going to be a really awesome thing to have, and there's no doubt in my mind we'll use it and use it a lot. Just question for Derek. I guess other sales are doing well. I know I've had a lot of conversations with other potential companies that are interested in the arena, and I'll let you expand on that if you can.
Yeah, it's been remarkably astounding how much the business community has gravitated to what we're trying to accomplish, and it's been awesome to have a lot of meetings and conversations with the major businesses and employers in the area, not only from that perspective, but also the groups like the Chamber and in the different cities and CETA and everything else that I've been out there for the last 12 months operating, as the COVID world was kind of, dropping a little bit, but it's been great to talk to people, and everyone's been excited. I think and I'm not a Savannian, but I hope to one day become accepted as one. And it's been great to see people's excitement for something that's been on the docket for almost a decade, and some people even more in their minds. So I think the fact that it's a reality, it's going to happen. It will be opening in Q1 of 22, and I just think, like Tripp said, I think people are going to be gravitating towards it, and they're going to want to be out and come in. The greatest thing for Michael is that we're going to attract people from like I said earlier, the neighboring cities. Some of the artists that we're going to get here are not going to play in Charleston or Jacksonville. It might be routed through Atlanta or Charlotte or up through the Florida coastline. So I think it's going to help everybody holistically, the restaurants, the bars, the hotels. It's going to get us back on the map and hopefully increase our visitors every year now that people are going to be coming back to live events.
Very good. That's great. Hey, Michael, can you give us an update on the Broughton Street project? Do you have some information on that? There we go.
I yield my time to anyone else. Anyone at all. Let's talk about the arena some more, shall we?
Okay.
Yeah. So, here's the thing to try to remember is that one day it will end, and it will be great when it does. The truth of it is, wow, there's a lot to unpack here, Michael. First of all, it's not politically popular right now to invest in downtown, which is absurdly stupid. I'll say that again. It's absurdly stupid. The vast amount of the majority of the income of this city that pays for police officers, firefighters, and every necessary program is generated from the downtown area. And former police chief Jack Lumpkin used to call it the front porch. We got to keep the front porch clean because it's the front porch that allows us to pay for everything else in the house. So this investment into Broughton Street is overdue, it's needed, and it needs to happen in more places in the community, not just in the downtown area. That first slog is where they're going to discover all of the things that they're going to have to deal with moving forward, which is generations of pipes and infrastructure that have been under that ground for decades, and in some cases hundreds of years. I think they've got a better notion of what's under there, and so we can see the rest of the project move forward much more quickly. The other thing also to remember is that COVID-19, the worst of the pandemic, happened really throughout last year, second, third, and fourth quarter, and that's created some setbacks there as far as the schedule. I think we will see things moving at a much quicker clip. However, I do have concerns of where this project's going to be during the height of retail exchange, which is the holiday periods. And good luck to the city of Savannah if they're in front of Levy Jewelers around the holiday times. I think the whole world will come to a stop then. There are those business owners that are very concerned about the impact that it's going to have on their business, especially coming out of COVID, and they're absolutely right to have that concern. Again, it's going to be up to how we work well in a community and as a community to get the messaging out there that those businesses are still open. And really more than ever is when they'll need your support and local support. And our community in the downtown area, whether that's restaurants or attractions or cultural institutions and retail, has always loved local support. This notion that it's built for visitors only is an absurd notion. When's the last time you went to a restaurant and they ID'd you to see where you live before they got you to a table? These are our community businesses. The people that run these businesses and work in these businesses are our neighbors. They are Savannians and a part of the greater Savannah area, and they're going to need your support. So let's not forget that as this project and this much needed project continues to head east on Broughton Street. Find an excuse to go spend a little bit of time at those businesses. They're going to need it because the site of of construction work is going to scare off plenty of people from going down there and getting custom to those businesses. But we as a local community can help by jumping in ourselves.
I think that's a great overall message, Michael. We all need to support our economy. We need to support our businesses, particularly the local businesses. We're very active in the Buy Local group, which is amazing group. Now, we're not throwing cold water on the chain folks that have set up their home here in town with us. But now is the time to go out to dinner or do a takeout. Now is the time to patronize as many of the businesses in our community as you can. A lot of these people just hung on by their fingernails throughout this whole thing. And the ones that did it by creativity and because they had customers who were loyal, customers who continued to do business with them so they could survive.
And so, Michael, if you don't mind the interjection here, this is a great sort of score moment of, here's the silver lining, I believe, and have survived in this world because I believe that in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. I have long believed that one of the attributes that science attributes to whether or not an organism is living or not is 6 things. And one of those 6 things, importantly, is the ability to adapt to outside change. Right, the ability to adapt to outside change, and it's what I've seen. Dozens and dozens of businesses, particularly in our community, have struggled to recognize that. Our market will continue to evolve. There will continue to be changes within the marketplace from a competitive standpoint, from a product standpoint, from an aesthetic standpoint. And I think we were a little bit stuck in the mud in Savannah. It was a rinse and repeat every year. Of course, we saw new product coming into the market, but the restaurants operated the way they had for 20 years. The menus were the same they had for 20 years. The farm to table movement almost missed this community entirely. The notion of wild Georgia shrimp being on a menu versus gas shrimp from the Philippines, right? The customers demand better quality now. And we've missed a lot of that. It's one of the reasons you saw Charleston's food scene greatly eclipse ours for so long. But it was the refusal to understand that there were outside factors that make me change my business. COVID-19 gave you no choice. You had to learn in that moment that you had to pivot if you were going to survive. And we call it a pivot, but it wasn't a pivot. It was just simply adapting to an outside change. So we saw restaurants change how they did their business. We saw so many retailers go and move into an online marketplace, which they're now going to keep because they found that to be successful. I've got a retailer who's a good buddy of mine who sells furniture, and I don't want to do a plug for him, but it rhymes with 24E on Broughton Street. He really spent some time setting up his e-tail there, and he gets stoked. He says, I just sold a couch online. So that's now he's got a model now that he would not have pivoted to otherwise. Let's not forget the lesson to that. I often ask businesses, as Michael, I'm sure you do, when they're struggling in their business, I'm an introspective person. I control my business. So it's generally always me. What is my competition doing that I'm not? What is my competition not doing that I am? And then you've got to make that assessment there, but you're always, always, always going to have to change. I tell folks all the time, change is inevitable except from vending machines. You better embrace it.
That's a great message. It really is. And thank you for stating that that's a SCORE moment, because I really think it is. There's a lot of folks that don't know what they don't know. And we have 47 amazing expert business people, all of whom are successful entrepreneurs, business owners, corporate executives, and they will help you put together those strategies. They will help you, do some visioning, do some ideation of what the possibilities might be. Because, I think to Michael's point, we don't look outside ourselves all the time. There are people that are just amazing creative thinkers. I think a lot of them are on this call this morning. But one of if you remember the motto that was in the little video that said, we all need someone who inspires us to learn more than we know how, to do better than we know how. And that's what our folks do. And we do it for free. So we hope that you will reach out to us and let us help you. That's what we do. That's great. Let's see if there's anything else. Derek, anything that you want to ask folks before we kind of wrap things up?
No, I mean, I've been kind of in tune with everything that Tripp and Michael are doing because it's extremely important to our business. And I'm very excited to hear the major companies that are looking to come into this surrounding community again, bringing more employees, thus makes us an opportunity to bring in bigger acts and bigger artists that want to play in the market. And then obviously the hotel restaurant scene downtown, the more vibrant that is and the more people are comfortable, just again allows us to bring in these artists and shows. And the greatest news that I have been told is that a lot of these artists want to spend time in Savannah. They've decided that, they want to come in, they want to stay a couple days, and they're able to do the practice runs and kind of rig the arena, because the arena is set to is rig. The ceiling and the roof is very on part of Atlanta and Charlotte with the weight load. So they can stay a couple days and enjoy everything that this city brings. And I'm excited for the community, and it's going to be a great 22. I cannot believe it's only almost 5 months away. And we're going to do it really. We're going to open this venue with a hopefully a great weekend of entertainment, as opposed to just one night. Really kind of coming up with a great opportunity for everybody. And again, I think we kind of glanced over it, but it's going to create a bunch of jobs. I think there's going to be a lot of full-time jobs, part-time jobs. We've already moved 4 people to this city with Oakview Group in full-time. We have an assistant GM, a director of ops, and a VP of marketing, including myself and a gentleman who's helping me on the premium seating side. So 5 people have been moved nationally to Savannah to start their careers here in Savannah with their family. So it's great news for all of us.
And by the way, maybe you can reach out to the city and offer your project management skills. Anyway, Jess, you are a successful business person and entrepreneur. Anything that you would like to add to before we wrap this segment up?
Yeah, I really want to congratulate the guys on the call today. You guys really helped to keep Savannah moving forward in what was a very, very difficult year. I just got back from traveling the U.S. for 3.5 weeks, and last year I did the same thing for a month. Where this trip I visited 12 different states, and last year I visited 20, all by car and RV. And so doing that trip, you really see the ins and outs of every single community along your travels. And, when you get to chatting with people and saying, how has the pandemic affected your business and how have you had to shift? Really, hi, Kimberly. Nice to see you. Everybody knew Savannah on the map as we've stayed open and we've continued to really move things forward and continued, even though we were cautious, we continued to allow things to happen in our city, like the arena to be built and, the development of Plant Riverside to be built, all these different things that kept our city moving forward. So now as we're coming out of the pandemic, we're in a good spot. And I really want to congratulate you guys. You've done a great job. And I'm very proud to be a Savannian and I don't do well sitting inside. So I was very happy to, be in Savannah during this last year. And I know those sentiments are shared throughout really the whole United States. So great job, guys.
Thank you.
I agree. Any last words from anybody before we actually let you get back to saving the city?
Thank you for having us.
All right. Well, listen, you guys are spectacular. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. And everybody online here, remember, to get in touch go on the websites, get in touch with CETA, get in touch with the Civic Center, get in touch with the Tourism Leadership Council. Check out opportunities there, see what's happening in our beloved city, and look where the opportunities are. Like Michael said, where there is challenge is always opportunity. And we encourage you to take advantage of this exciting time. Gentlemen, thanks so much for your time today. We appreciate you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Okay, so we're going to move on now. And we're going to, okay, there we go. So we're going to move on now, and I'm going to ask Jess. Jess, we have a lot of stuff sponsored by SCORE and our partners in the community. So can you update us on some of the events and workshops that are coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a full-on workshop schedule planned. A lot of that is in partnership with the Economic Development Department. And so I kind of want to run through some of the big highlights. You can find more information of this on savannahga.gov. If you go to the business tab in the upper left-hand corner and then scroll down to business, education, and events, you'll find many of these events that you can register for. We've got on June 29th, so tomorrow, we have coming up how to adapt your business for success in 2021 and beyond. So we kind of talked a little bit about that with a gentleman on the call today regarding, if you haven't pivoted your business and you're still struggling, now's the time to, really talk about that and look at 2021, 2022, and what that looks like for your business. We also have another series, July 13th, how to achieve business success through franchise ownership. I actually I was so excited. Last week, I got an email from somebody that I was mentoring. She had started from the ground up her business. And about 8 months into her business, she contacted me and said, things are going really well. I'm thinking about franchise ownership and franchising out. So I brought in another one of our mentors who specifically deals with franchises and partnership agreements. We talked about the difference between what a franchise is, what a partnership agreement is. She decided to go the franchise route. And last week, she contacted me and said that she just got her first franchise owner. So that was so exciting.
Exciting.
So if this is, where you're at with your business, or you think that, it's time to expand, but you don't know how, that's a great one. And that's on July 13th. You guys know that social media, the rules are always changing. All the algorithms, it's so hard to keep up. So we have Winning with Social Media, how to use Facebook and Instagram to attract more customers. That's coming up on July 16th. We also have a series coming up with Bill Bruner, who is a a SCORE mentor, but also attorney. And he talks about what every business owner needs to know about intellectual property. I personally, as a business owner, I have tapped into this several times on, okay, what can I trademark? What can I copyright? Where do I protect my things? And this has been a really, really valuable tool. So make sure that you pay attention to that one on Tuesday, July 27th. We also have what every business owner needs to know about employment and labor law. The labor laws are always changing. I know with COVID particularly, a lot of the employment and labor laws and rules and regulations have all really, really changed. And you want to make sure as a business owner that you're not only protecting yourself, but you're protecting your employees. And so that is on Thursday, August 3rd. And probably my favorite class in this whole education series is Know Your Numbers. As a business owner, if you do not know your numbers off the top of your head like this, you're not where you need to be. And so really understanding your numbers and understanding the business financial reports and what all of those mean to your business and how to utilize them to get to where you want to be, that is on Thursday, August 5th. Again, that one is going to sign up for that one now. It's going to be a great one. And then also something that we get a lot with as a mentor is questions on accounting. So depending on where your business is at, if you are at a very, very solopreneur entry level, just starting out, you may not be able to afford an accountant, which sometimes can run $200 a month to $400 a month, depending on the complexity of your business. And so we have an introduction to QuickBooks seminar coming up, or workshop coming up, and that is in partnership with Savannah Technical College, and that is on July 24th. And is that one in person, Michael, from 9 to 3?
No, this time it is still going to be virtual. I want to mention one thing, though. All of the things in partnership with the city of Savannah, are there any fees associated with any of those workshops that you mentioned?
They are all 100% free. Free, yes.
Very good.
So lots of great things. If you want to see specifically what SCORE is doing, you can always go to the savannah.score.org website. You can click on take a workshop. Or if you want to see a little bit about the mentors and, maybe pick a mentor and start working with one, you can go to Find a Mentor. What we hope out of these workshops that we put together is that this is going to give you kind of that eagle-eye view of everything that you need to know about that one specific topic. And then we hope that you'll solicit us as a free mentor to really hone in on the areas that are still a little bit fuzzy, still a little bit gray, so that we can help you through that and kind of propel your business to the next level at the speed that's comfortable for you.
That's great, Jess. Thanks so much. I want to mention one more thing, by the way. We have a wonderful partnership with the Small Business Assistance Corporation, SBAC. They are lenders. And every month they have, and as Nate is saying, also free. So July 16th, Friday, July 16th from noon to 1, SBAC, in partnership with the Consumer Credit Counseling Services of Savannah, CCCS, is a credit building for small business owners. So if you do not have a good credit score, if you don't know how to check and or interpret your credit reports, if you need a leg up in establishing good credit, we absolutely recommend that you attend this. And you can get information at sbacsav.com/upcoming-events. That's sbacsav.com/upcoming-events. Really, really worthwhile. Jess, thank you so much. That's great. So a couple of other things before we wrap up. One is I want to give a big shout out to Marjorie Young, who's the president and founder of Carriage Trade. Marjorie is being honored today, being installed as the new president of the Rotary Club. And so we congratulate Marjorie for this well-deserved honor. And lastly, I really want to thank, this past Wednesday, we did a new thing. We did a roundtable discussion with what we call vetrepreneurs. Vetrepreneurs are military veterans who have become successful entrepreneurs. And we had a panel of 4 successful entrepreneurs, 3 of whom are veterans. 1 is a military spouse. 2 of the 3 veterans are service disabled individuals, and they had great stories to tell. So I want to give a shout out to Sam Cook, LB Elm, Kyle Evans, and to Lisa Clift for doing such a wonderful job telling great stories about the success after your military service. And we thank all of them for their service, of course. Okay, so to wrap up, we want to make sure you know how to ask for assistance from SCORE. I think we're going to post these on the screen if I'm not mistaken. You can go to savannah.score.org, which will get you to the general thing. If you want to go directly to find a mentor, you can go to savannah.score.org/content/find-mentor-305. We can put that up in the comment box if we need to. But savannah.score.org to find a mentor. And if you're interested in becoming a SCORE volunteer, we are always looking for experienced, quality people who want to find a really meaningful way to give back to the community. We have such a wonderful group of people. We were named the 2019 Mid-Market Chapter of the Year. In 2020, we were named a Diamond Level Chapter, which is an honor that is conferred on less than 10% of the 245 chapters around the country. So that just shows you the quality of the work that our wonderful team does. And I mentioned earlier the number of new businesses and new jobs we've helped to create just this past year. So we want to thank you so much for joining us at the SCORE version of the water cooler. We'll be back again on Monday, the 28th, I think, of July, with another wonderful group of guests and conversation. And we hope you will join us then. And we hope that all of you have a wonderful, wonderful week. Thanks again for joining us. Have a good
to see you all. Bye.
Bye.